Is Japanese food healthy? I think that might be the biggest question I see or get asked a lot. And so, if you've wondered that question, I'm going to give you my 5 reasons why I think it is healthy, as well as at the end, I'll give you some things to be aware of because just because it says it's healthy doesn't always mean it is. So, stay tuned for that. Hi, I'm Amy, a second generation Japanese American working mom to 2 multicultural boys, and I am here to make Japanese food and culture more accessible to you, even on a super busy day, because we all need those easier things to incorporate into our busy lives. So, if that is you, hit that subscribe button. I'd love for you to be a part of our journey. Now, let's get started with my top 5 reasons why I do think that Japanese food is healthy. The first thing is there is a very high amount of protein in each meal. If you've seen a Japanese breakfast, it's pretty different from a standard American or Western breakfast. Here's a picture of one. It took my husband a little bit of time to get used to the idea of this is breakfast, not lunch or dinner. But there's usually a good amount of protein, like tofu. This is a yuzu tofu, but whether it is a veggie or it could be a fish, there are a lot more fish protein sources than meat in the Japanese diet. And we don't always eat sushi. I don't know if anybody thinks we all eat a sushi, but that is not true. But there is a lot of seafood that is incorporated in. There's also beans, a lot of beans. There might be bean rice, sweet beans for dessert, and also natto, whether you like it or not. I know this is a love it or hate it kind of thing, but natto, I'll talk about this in a little bit also, but beans are a big part of the Japanese diet. So protein. Also, have you seen this? It is tofu shirataki. So it is this one's an angel hair type noodle, but it is made out of soy. So it is a tofu noodle. I'm yet to try it. I'm excited to try it, but there are a lot of protein-based options. It's not just wheat. The second thing is there are a lot of veggies or plant-based items or ingredients that are incorporated into the diet. So I already told you about the tofu, and then there's a lot of like sea-based things, so a lot of seaweedy type things. So whether it's wakame, which is one type of seaweed that is put in miso soup, all kinds of soup, salads. There's also nori seaweed, which is put on top of different things like noodles or wrapped around onigiri or rice balls. There are kombu, which is used for dashi, stock, as well as you cut it up after you cook it and put it in your braised vegetables, etc. Just a ton of vegetables that are used in everyday dishes, whether it be daikon, carrots, different kinds of potatoes, lotus root, all kinds of things. Nikujaga, which is one of my favorite things, which is potato. It's a potato dish with meat, but the meat is not the main thing. It is all the other ingredients mixed in. It is really vegetables with some meat in there to make it flavored. It's kind of a different way of thinking. The third thing is fermented products. Fermented products are just a huge part of the Japanese diet. And it's just been that way because if you think of soy sauce, do you think of soy sauce as a big part of the Japanese diet? It is a fermented soy product. How about mirin? Mirin is used in almost every braised Japanese dish I can think of. Soy sauce and mirin and brown sugar and dashi. But mirin is also a fermented product. How about sake? You've heard of sake, I'm sure. Also a fermented product. Miso, also a fermented product. And apparently my top does not match, but there are also different kinds of miso. That's a sidebar. Koji, I don't know if this is as heard of, but is one of my favorite seasonings, shiokoji, and I make it myself too. I have a video about that on how to make that. I'll put all the links in the description, so check out the description after this video to go see all the different things you can make at home, as well as what I recommend buying if you're going to go buy at the store. But this is seriously like great on everything. This is what I put on my salmon, on my roasted vegetables. I love it. Also, I talked about natto earlier, which are fermented soybeans that are the love them or hate them things, but I love them. And it is also fermented. A lot of people eat them for breakfast as an accompaniment to their rice and miso soup. My dad is one of those people. Every single day, rice, miso soup, and natto, and maybe some pickled vegetables. Who knows? But that is his go-to and a very traditional Japanese breakfast. So just a ton of different possibilities of ways to incorporate fermented products into your diet. And we all know that that is amazing for your gut, amazing for your body. So that is a huge thing. Number 4 is that a lot of Japanese food is cooked in a matter of steaming or braising. Sure, there's frying, sure, there's stir frying also, but a lot of foods are steamed or braised. And that's just a naturally healthier method because you're not adding a ton of oil or you're not frying things in oil. So the cooking method itself is prevalent in many, many dishes, especially my favorite home cooked dishes, which makes it naturally healthier. Plus, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of vegetables in those steamed and braised veggies dishes. Number 5 is there is a huge emphasis on the quality of the ingredients. And so what that means is that you are getting super fresh fish or super fresh vegetables that you don't want to cover up with all sorts of seasonings and sauces. So things tend to be more lightly flavored or more lightly sauced. And we all know that those super heavily sauced things might not be the best for you. So sushi, it's just rice and the fish most of the time. Maybe a little bit of wasabi, maybe a little bit of soy sauce, but it tends to be very simple. If you've had omakase type of dishes, they're very simple. There's some flavor, obviously, but it's not this overly flavored thing. It is trying to bring out the natural goodness of each of those ingredients. So I think that just lends itself to being healthier because you're not loading it with all sorts of sodium, all sorts of other ingredients that could add more and more calories or more processed stuff. So I'm going to pause for a second and I'm going to get to the beware of items in a second. But if this has been valuable already for you, remember to hit that like button. Now let's get to the be careful things. Because just because something is healthy doesn't mean that it can be ruined. For example, salad is healthy, but if you load it up with dressing, say ranch dressing, just coat it with ranch dressing, that's not really the healthiest thing you can eat, right? Now you're just loading it with calories, saturated fats, etc. So when you eat Japanese food, especially in Western countries, especially in America, there is a lot of Americanized food out there, which can still be really good, but teriyaki chicken, it's just not the same. It has a ton of thick, sugary teriyaki sauce. So while teriyaki chicken itself is not bad, when it has that super thick coating of almost syrupy glaze, that might not be considered super healthy. Another thing is when you go to sushi places and you get a California roll or a Philadelphia roll or something that is a little more Americanized, you usually don't see these super heavily mayo-y or cream cheese. I don't think I've ever seen a cream cheese roll in Japan. There's a creaminess to it. There is a making it more like the American palate in these rolls. And those are just a few examples, but those may not necessarily be the healthiest things. So if you're saying, oh, Japanese food is healthy and you're eating a ton of super saucy teriyaki chicken or a ton of mayo-y California rolls, or I'm trying to think of other examples like tempura is absolutely delicious and it is traditionally Japanese. Tonkatsu is traditionally Japanese and absolutely delicious. But if you're eating those fried foods all the time because they say, hey, it is Japanese and it's healthy. Tempura, hey, I'm eating the healthy fried vegetables. That might not be true, and we all know it. I wish it were true because I would love to eat that all the time. But as I say in How I Eat, moderation in everything. And I want to share this saying with you. It is hara hachibunme, which is a Japanese saying that says, leave your stomach 80%, meaning 80% full. Don't stuff yourself. Don't go to 100% or even more, right? Where you're just so full. Keep yourself satisfied, but not overly stuffed. And proportions are just a very different thing in Japan. And here, as we know in America, there are a lot of different factors. I can't tell you, is it healthy or is it not? It is for you to determine. It is for you to customize for yourself. But if you asked me, I would say it is. And I would love to show you a lot more of how I like to cook things a little healthier, a little more accessible, and a little more fun. I hope you check out the other playlists of my Japanese dishes, and I will see you next video.